Welcome to another review by Dad Game Time, and today we are reviewing the new Pilot's -7. Came out literally this morning, I want to say. Taking a look at the plane. It's DeHavilland's first, large passenger aircraft. It's pressurized. It can go in and out of harsh strips. Let's take a look at the plane itself. I'm going to fix the camera here for a second. I've got the drone speed up just a little faster than I wanted. I'd like to take it down to about 8 there so we can get a better view of what's going on. But get a look at some of the modeling and some of the textures on here. I'm really happy with the model. I really like that they put these protectors on to the props. Okay, so this is the Airtindi livery, which is, they're probably one of the few active users of the -7. There were several others. I know Era Aviation used it, I think all the way to 1990, maybe even later. I know back in 87 they had them, and I can't go any further than that. I don't remember. Airtindi actually uses a combi version of this as well. There should be an aircraft number down on that front landing gear door, but I don't see one. But there should be a large door here if this were a combi. But this is not a combi. This is offered only as a passenger version. There's our wing inspection light. We have 4 engines, and we have big flaps to get us in and out of places. And currently the power is off, but at least I think I left the power off. But I did leave the door open. I could see I could move the flaps there, so let's hop in the cabin. The -7 can carry 50 passengers in a passenger configuration, and that's what we have here, is the passenger configuration of the plane. We will have to come back in here outside of drone mode to operate everything, but for now, that's kind of what it looks like. So we'll just hop in real quick and go back to the door, and the door opens clicking on there, and then you click up here at the flap that overhangs the door. You'll see it come down. There you go. You want to open it, you just click back on the door. Okay. Close it. You can click on the door, or you can click on the upper half of the door. It really is up to you how you choose to do it. That's enough of that. Okay, so we have a number of seats set up here. Let's go into the cockpit. A little disappointed in the cockpit only because there's not any real wear and tear in it. There is. If you look at the trim wheel, there's some wear and tear. Can't move these armrests out of this view, which is a shame. There's a nice jump seat that you can put down. That's a click spot. You click on this air vent and you can get rid of the yoke. You can also get rid of the co-pilot's yoke that way. I have already set up a bunch of this into my honeycomb, Bravo and Alpha with SPAD Next. So some of these things aren't going to necessarily be me clicking on here, but I'll tell you what I'm doing. First thing you're going to do is you're going to come over here to this yellow box, and we're going to turn on the master battery. Well, if it would work, but for some reason, I think SPAD Next closed down on me, or it didn't close down on me. It's not activating for some reason. So we will go activate the appropriate profile and see if that works now. Okay, see there, the battery comes on, battery goes off. Okay. And we can turn on the generators. As we'll see, both sets, there's 2 sets of batteries. There's left and right over here on the DC side, and then on the AC side, we have the master battery. And then I can turn on the 2 AC and DC generator under the master control. I haven't figured out a way to get this to work with SPAD Next. It's a 3-position switch, and the honeycomb doesn't, as far as I know, I can't figure out a way to do 3-position switches. But we are going to go ahead and turn on our anti-collision lights red to let the guys outside know what we're doing. And we're going to start engine 3. Okay? So that's it. We are literally ready for engine start, and we'll press the start button here, and it lights up, and we'll come down, and like any turboprop, we'll wait for this to get up to 20, and there it is, and we'll kick on the engines. And unfortunately, I only have 1 lever for the engine. I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to do, because it needs 8 levers. I don't have 8 levers. I have 6. So my choices were to do 1 lever for the RPM, which is what I chose to do, or to do 4 for the throttles, or you could do 1 for the throttles and 4 for the RPM. But there doesn't seem to be any hot start in this aircraft, so I think we're okay going that route. I think we can just see now. I can just switch over to 4 and it'll start engine 4 without me having to do much. And we can go outside and we can wait for it to start up. I don't have a supercomputer. Oh, by the way, I paid for this myself. This isn't a donated piece of software. They didn't pay me to do this review. I just bought the plane because I like flying in Alaska, as you guys probably know. And so I did, I've done a bunch of scenery creation up in Alaska. And so Alaska is just kind of my place where I like to fly. So there's the sounds so far. Now, this is what's going to be weird. When I switch over to 2 and it starts, listen to this. This makes no sense to me, but it is what it is. You'll hear a huge difference in the sound suddenly. And my understanding is it's not that big a deal. See, hear that big guttural roar? That is that number 2 engine coming online. And I don't know why that one sounds so different, but it sounds so much better than the other 2. And I don't know why. I only get that with number 2. But my understanding is they had some issues with one of the employees or one of the workers on the project becoming ill, and they weren't able to do everything that they wanted to do with it. So I can't really fault them too much for the sounds right now. My hope is, and Pilots has been really good to us in the past in terms of flight simmers updating their aircraft products. So that's what I'm hoping for. We're going to go ahead and put that down. Today we are going to head to, where should we go? Where should we go today? How about... Oh, you know what? We're just going to go to Fort Yukon, which is an airport that I've created. Let's crank this up to about 11,000, and you can just hold the mouse down and the mouse button down, and it will it'll just scroll up to what you need. You don't have to sit and scroll with the wheel if you don't want to. You can just hold it down, and it saves you some trouble. And since we're going north, I'm going to put an odd altitude in, and that should be good. Okay, our engines are started. Turn off the start switch. Turn off the engine selector to off, and let's turn on our DC generators and our AC generators. Now I have all of them set to switches, which is why they're coming on like that. And now that the engines are on, I'm going to go ahead and turn that to white, and that'll give us a white blinking light. And it's looking for our pitot heat. So I've turned on the pitot heat. I have a switch set for that as well. Sorry. We have our wing anti-ice, and we have our propeller anti-ice. I'll just turn those on just to give us a chance to get some stuff done. Turn on the seatbelt sign, turn on the no smoking sign, arm the emergency lights, and we're good there. Okay, jump seats ready. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? You have to, anytime you use the TDS GTN, you've got to start the external program. There we go. And I'm sorry for making that noise to you, but you have to run that program. If you don't run the external program, it can't connect to the trainer. There's always going to be a debate about which one's better. I don't know, but TDS I've got both of them. I've got TDS and the PMS, and I paid for both of them myself because I just didn't want to
system test
be excluded, because it seems like on some planes one works really well and one works well on the other one. And let's put the map on here, zoom out a bit. We're going to travel at 11,000 feet. That should be more than enough to clear us over the mountains to the north of Fairbanks to get us up to where we're headed, which is Fort Yukon. Turn on our taxi lights there. And not hearing any traffic on the radios. Let's go ahead and set Unicom. Did it cover over here? Yeah, it did. Okay, we're good. And okay, we're in feather. So what I've discovered, we're going to check our trims here real quick. Something I've discovered is that I've got a switch set for that too. Haha. So I'm not going to mess with that. There can be some problems between the two. So if you click on something on the 750, sometimes you'll accidentally click the parking brake. So I wanted to have a switch so it wouldn't mess it up. So I've got a view set up just for this radio panel because of some issues. And then I've got a view set for the overhead and another view set for the back part of the overhead, which I like to have set up because this is where our lights are. I'm not going to do any of the tests right now. You know, they have all the fire tests and whatnot. There's no sounds to them. So there's really no point in doing that. But otherwise, pretty enjoyable plane. It's selling right now for 20 euros on their website, which I'm not exactly sure what that translates to in dollars, but it's not terribly expensive. It's, you know, $23, $24 maybe. So we're ready to taxi. We'll kill our parking brake here, and we're gonna come out of feather and bring our props forward, and that should get us rolling a little bit. This thing has a tendency to take off a little faster than you think it will, so I like to keep it in feather when I can, because like I said, this thing will taxi way faster than you would imagine. We're at Fairbanks. We're going to just do a short takeoff right here at the intersection. So our flap settings, you can see our flap gauge right here, and you have 15 degrees, 25 degrees, and 45 degrees flap. When you see that big a gap, so you have 15, 25, that tells me that's a departure flap. I don't have a manual. I'm just telling you, just out of experience of flying over the years in flight sim, I can tell you that means those are your departures. 45 is going to be your approach flap. You don't want to go into 45 for departure. It's going to be way too much drag. It's not going to help you. So we're going to come here and we're going to taxi onto the runway, and we're just going to take an intersection departure real quick. And we should be good to go. We'll be out of here. So we'll turn on our couple of things here. We're going to pull up to the line, and I'm going to set some brakes because we have to go to the overhead real quick. Parking brake is now on. Go to the overhead, and what I need to do is set the engine bleeds. Whoops, don't need high, just on. There's no real way to change the altitude on here, so I don't know that it matters. I don't know that it's going to black out or kill you if you don't turn this on, but just as of right now, that's what you got. So we'll turn on our strobes. See that switch come on? Up. All right. Well, good for him. We've got some live air traffic sounds in the background for you. We're not talking to anybody, so don't worry about it. All right, we'll go ahead and start our departure out. Landing lights are on, strobe lights are on, our engine bleeds are on. Our engines are set right now to feather in the condition, and then we'll bring that up to max condition for takeoff. That'll take place here in just a second. Yeah, see, I'm taking a really short chunk of the runway, but we'll easily be able to get out of here with this. So there's max condition. Here comes our, we'll wait for that to take hold. Set our parking brake. Wait for the condition lever to take over, and it's moving its way up. So all four condition levers have been moved forward. Flaps are 25. Looks like we're good there. We'll go ahead and take off the parking brake, and we're just going to put the throttles all the way to the firewall because it doesn't it doesn't redline the torque. I've flown this a few times now, and you can put the throttles all the way forward. You're not going to redline it. The takeoff sound here, when your wheel departs from the runway, has a real weird clank to it. It doesn't sound right. You can hear hear that? I don't know what that is. I'm assuming that's them saying, hey, your wheels came off the runway. So we're off the runway. Let's get our gear up. And there's your gear sound. Really short, and the gear is still going up. You can see the lights are still on in yellow, amber, whatever you want to call it. So it hasn't taken over yet. We'll go ahead and start our trimming up. We'll put nav, alt cell, and we'll put on our autopilot and see if it can take care of itself yet. So what I'm going to do is hit vertical speed and then crank this up a little. So there we go. Maybe 6 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, we'll bring our flaps up 1 notch. We're climbing out at 15. We hit nav, right? Why is it not going? Okay, there's the turn we were looking for. I was going to say, this turn should happen. When you depart that runway out of Fairbanks, there's a right turn that it's supposed to take. And we'll set our radar altimeter to 200 feet so that when we're landing, when it screams minimums at us, we know where it's going. And let's go ahead and bring our condition lever back. You can see our prop percentage there is a little too high for my taste, so we'll bring that back a bit now that we've departed. And turn off the taxi light, since that's in the nose. We'll take a look outside at our plane. Uh-oh. Getting a little slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take it down 4 and see if that keeps us at about 1,000. We're still at, 100 feet, or 100 plus knots, so let's bring our flaps all the way up. We'll step outside and take a look. We have our landing lights on. You can't see the strobes, but I promise they're flashing. In the dark, it's completely different. Let me change the time of day here and give you an idea of what it looks like in the dark. Go a little darker. So we've got really nice. Oh. Oh. I forgot to tune out of Fairbanks ground. My mistake. But really nice lighting. I mean, the strobes are nice. I like the way it illuminates the props with the landing lights. I mean, it's really, really well done. The lighting is really good. I don't really have a problem with anything in this aircraft except initially I think a lot of people thought we were looking at a study level plane, and this is more along the lines of maybe like the ATR that we got as a local. Is that a local legend? This would have been a great local legend plane, and at 20 euros, I mean, it's priced right. I have no problems with the way they priced it. It looks like they might be raising it to 25 after the initial sales, but for right now, it's 20 euros. So whatever that works out to in dollars. The systems all are. I mean, it's as good as the Transall C-160. It's, in my opinion, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be considered just as good. Well, maybe some of the polygon count and some of the textures aren't quite there. This could have used a little more wear and tear in the cockpit, but overall, not a bad product at all. I'm very happy with the purchase. Very happy with the quality of what they've delivered. Gonna bring engines back just a bit. We're really burning loads of fuel, and I would like to avoid doing that, so we're gonna crank back the throttles until there we go. We'll just keep climbing. And flaps are all the way up. Landing lights, we can probably turn them off. It's daylight out still. we won't have much more of that up in this part of Alaska. The days are going to get really short. The radar is, it doesn't even put up a dummy display. None of the buttons work. But I mean, it's 2020. None of the radars really work. So there's, say what you want about that. I mean, I guess some people really want, even a fake radar, but I really don't care. I really don't care. But a lot of the switches don't work. Like the synchro phase doesn't work. The caution lights do work. That's all good. You can mute the horn, and there's some of this stuff works. You can actually set the clock. That doesn't really have a beta. It has reversers. I don't know what else to say that I've heard people complain about so far, but I personally don't have any complaints with this at this point. I think they've done what they said they were going to do with it, and we have a good product. Like I said, I'm very happy with it. I have no... Whoops, daisy. Of course, my parking brake decided to go wonky on me. Sorry about that. That was my fault. I clicked a little too close. The outside temperature is super cold right now in Fairbanks. Well, compared to... see, we're just under we're about -5 centigrade right now, so and we're coming up on our 11,000 foot set altitude, and it's going to capture that, and then it should switch over. There you go, altitude captured. And now we'll start to pick up more speed, and I'll lower the throttle. I'll pull the throttle back a bit. We'll pull our RPMs back. Really, what your RPMs are doing in this kind of aircraft is what you're really doing is making it quieter for your passengers, making it a little more pleasant ride. That's all you're doing. So we'll pull the prop back to about 400 now. Or not the prop, the torque. And it'll pick up just a touch. Keep easing it back. And we should get a good cruise speed as we make our way out of out of the Fairbanks area and out into the Fort Yukon. So I'll shut up for a while and just sort of look around the cockpit for you. Like I said, there's not a whole lot you can do with some of this stuff. Like if I go to weight here and I get rid of the co-pilot's weight, I lose the co-pilot. Nice, right? Passengers, you can add passengers, and of course the co-pilot's come back now, so let's get rid of him. Oh. And we can go back in the back and see if we've added any passengers, and you'll see, no, there's no passengers. We just have simulated weight. So, whatever that's worth. You know. Oh, 2,000 pound pilot. No. No. Let's add some fuel here. And you can see the fuel gauges are registering the fuel. There's a number of things that I should have done before we took off, and it's, you know, let's get a little more. Let's try to get 1,000 going there. Come on, there we go. All right. The fuel flow here is what I was looking at. I'm just trying to make sure that we're not driving this thing too hard. Obviously, you don't want to be between 660 and 870 here, so you don't want to fall into that yellow band, basically, is where it's saying you need to avoid that. And then if you drop the throttle or the condition lever down to normal, it'll straight up start vibrating the plane in flight, which is really nice. I guess that they've included that. It is really nice. Yaw damper is, it does have a working switch there as well. You do have anti-skid. This armrest is kind of a bugger, but I can just come over here and fix everything that I need. There's not a whole lot needed. You make your camera views and you're good to go. Some things, you can check your battery temperatures. The test just makes the battery temperature go up. It does register changes in altitude. You can see that the altitude of the cabin was climbing. It's, for some reason, it's showing that it's still climbing. I don't know. We're leveled off. It shouldn't be doing that. It should be done. We'll turn off our seatbelt sign, and it'll be off in the back. We don't need the fuel pumps, but I can go into the back and show you that the seatbelt sign is in fact now off. Texture here, not great. No real definition to this door on this side of the door. Not bad, but there should be like a sticker, or there should be some, there's nice wear and tear on the edge, I guess. It's nice, whatever. Some texturing, but not bad. There are lights. Sorry, it's reading to somebody, but anyway, we can turn lights on in the back for the passengers, and I just don't happen to have those on. Let's have what is this? Is this 4 is the one I've got set, and that's the cockpit light, dome light, and then we have the storm dome. These all adjust pretty well. This handle doesn't do anything that I've found, but you can pull the handle. You can turn on the reading lights for each pilot. There's a switch here that's a little weird, and here's been my experience. Look, as long as I roll it, the light stays on, and there's no one click. You can click it with your mouse. You can roll it with the mouse wheel. The light won't stay on. It just... So you roll the mouse, you got sort of a light that stays on and gets brighter, but I don't know if there's a switch that I missed or something, but maybe I did, and I just don't know it. I don't know. Textures they're not great, but like I said, then you have other stuff that you're like, oh, they really did a nice job with that. Would have liked to have seen a little more work done on the sounds. Textures, like I said, not bad, not great. Could have been worse. This is a short hop to Fort Yukon. We've got how many more miles to go? 85 miles to go. And I don't know what kind of time we're looking at on that, but we're doing 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 170 knots. And I don't know what our true speed is. Oh, 211 ground speed. That's good. At least we know we have that. So we should be there in no time, really. I'm just going to shut up and let you guys enjoy it. Okay? As you can see, the tires aren't exactly super high quality textures. I mean, that's... I didn't realize we were racing Indy cars in this. Maybe they had slicks in these planes. I don't know. And that's not a fault of the plane. That's my pedals causing problems. I mean, the frame rate is pretty good for the poly count we're dealing with. Why did they put a cargo door here that you can't open? I don't know. I don't know why there's no way to open it. I would certainly like to have been able to open the cargo door, but there's no way to do it. Go outside, take a look at it, and there's a handle. Can't do anything. That's fine. Can't do anything with this door either. Maybe they were thinking they were going to put a tablet with it and then decided against it. Some of the seams don't match up too well, but it's not bad. Right? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to put all that detail. Well, I guess when the flaps come down, you're going to see that stuff, so that makes sense, but just odd choices. Not a fabulous texture. Things just don't match up some places, but as somebody who's painted a lot of planes over the years, I also know that that kind of stuff can be a problem. Sometimes meshes aren't easy to paint. See how this nose is, because that to me is always one of the hardest things to paint, is getting a nice stripe on the nose. It's pretty good. I mean, I don't think that if I painted this, I would get that good a stripe, so not gonna complain. Let's take a look at the decals here. It's not horrible, but not good. I would have thought that there would be a bypass switch on this. I think there's a bypass on every other plane that has a PT6, and I think that's what this is a PT6 engine in here, but there should be. I would have thought they would have had a bypass, but they don't. I mean, this isn't a fault of the guys that created the plane at all. Not at all. This is an accurate overhead, and the systems that are here are, I mean, they've got what's on the overhead there, but I just would have thought there was a bypass anytime you have a PT6, but that's more a question about the -7 and not a criticism of the plane. Please don't take it as anything but a comment about the -7. I don't know. No sounds there at all. There are circuit breaker lights so that you can turn on the circuit breakers, but I think there's one on each side, so I don't know what I just turned down. I don't see any lights turn on. Not really sure what that switch does. The manual doesn't tell you. Manual. It's not really a manual. But, you know, like I said, it's not bad. I've been enjoying it. I've made some approaches into various airports up here in Alaska, some gravel strips, and having a good time with it. I don't think there's any more animations except the jump seat. Like I said, even the armrests, there's no armrest animation that I've been able to find. Maybe they put it in here and I just don't know where it is. I don't know. I will slide back over to the pilot seat and see if there's an animation that I missed. There's a knob on each one of these, but I don't know what they do. I don't know what some of these do. Let's see. Does that turn off the autopilot? It should, and it did. Good. There you go. You have to push it again to get to come back on. Okay. None of the other switches do anything. That's it. Let's take a look and see how close we're getting. Well, we are on the other side of the mountains now. So we'll set our altitude down to 7,500 feet. And we'll begin our descent into Fort Yukon. It's not enough descent. Try a little more. Probably ought to tell them to turn their seatbelts on. So, you know, we begin the descent into really the first field, major field north of the Arctic Circle in Alaska that is the one people go to for things like, you know, if you're going to go see the Northern Lights, or you want to, I think it's gateway to the Arctic National Park through there. Sure, we will shortly see an ERA livery. I'm hoping somebody makes one. I'm not really in the mood to paint anything anymore. I mean, I do every now and then, but not. I certainly am not ever going to do it again on demand for people or on the TO, because boy, people get snippy on there. It's amazing how rude people can be. Let me take a look here. We can't bring up a picture. Of the ERA. There we go. And there's the ERA Aviation -7. We'll make that a little bigger. So hopefully somebody will make us a copy of that livery and we'll have it for future flights. And we'll have a good time flying around in Alaska. It looks like we're coming down a little too quickly. We'll bring our pitch back just a touch. There we go. I think that's all right. So the spoilers, I would think, would automatically, once you've got the plane in, you know, sort of not beta but reverse, that it would that the spoilers would deploy. Haven't quite figured out how to make that work yet. I'm hoping that I figure it out. It would be nice to have deploying spoilers. Let's see, how far are we now from Fort Yukon? We are 37 miles, doing 215 knots ground speed. Let's zoom in. Whoops, a daisy. Of course, I clicked on the GPS, and what does it do? It fires up our parking brake, which has a really weird lag to it. Like if I click on it, I mean, the texture on it's kind of blurry anyway, which is weird. Like, why is it so blurry? I don't know. But watch, I'll tell you, click. Now watch. Yeah, what is that, like a 3-second delay? Texture really cool, watching the gateway open for it, or the little rubber gasket, so to speak, but immediately comes on when you click it. But if you click it off, on, off, and there's a delay. No idea why. Not really something I'm too terribly concerned about. But let's see. Need to get our speed down. Flaps 15, the speed for Flaps 15 is 147. Flaps 45, the max speed is 110. So I'd like to get down to about 130, 120. So about that range on our airspeed indicator before we go throwing flaps in. I think that would be the best idea. We just want to tell you all, good luck. We're all counting on you. Let's put the co-pilot back in his seat. There we go. Hello, Dave. And I don't have his uniform on. I normally have my Alaska Adventures uniforms on my pilots, but since I'm in an Air Tindy livery, it didn't make sense to put the Alaska Adventures uniforms on the pilots. So normally that's something, like I said, when I'll get an Alaska Adventures livery done for it, we'll throw the uniforms on them and we'll do our flying around in that. This has been an interesting week in Flight Sim. We'll have a review out shortly of the Hype Performance Group H160, the Airbus H160. We'll do that later tonight or tomorrow, and then we've got some more planes coming out soon, but I don't know what's going to come out next. I'm not big on a lot of stuff. I know that, oh gosh, let's see, SWS has their PC-12 coming out, and it will have a cargo variant. At least they've promised we'll see one. I'm hoping for that because I love their Kodiak. I think the Kodiak is still one of the best planes that's come out for 2020. Best quality, absolutely phenomenal plane. I think the Hype Performance Group H145 is literally my favorite helicopter I've ever flown in any flight sim, especially with the action pack and being able to drop water on things. Some of the things that we've been promised are coming in 2024's flight sim. We're already seeing out of Hype Performance Group, and I suspect, I don't know for a fact, but I suspect that Hype Performance Group has some sort of connection with what's going on with 2024. I would hope so. If they don't, Asobo is foolish, because those guys are really great at that kind of stuff. Same with SWS. Phenomenal creators. What in the world just happened there? Boy, it did not want to do what I said, did it? Hit vertical speed and roll her down. Can we go down? Yes, she's gonna go. All right. And the cabin altitude is dropping. And hey, the temperature's actually come up a couple degrees since we left Fairbanks. We get north of the Arctic Circle and the temperature rises. That's unusual, isn't it? All right, so let's take a look here. We're going to bring up the 150 and we're going to put a procedure in here. We need an approach. There's no arrivals into Fort Yukon, but how about Visual 4? We're going to load and activate Visual 4. Okay. And it should start turning us towards the visual for runway 4. And continue our descent. Probably ought to make that a little faster. Whoop. Come on, don't go crazy on me now. And we'll bring back our throttles as we do this. Don't want to overspeed the engines, so we're just going to go into flight idle here. Hopefully we'll bleed off some speed, because we're going to need to. And how close are we to Fort Yukon? Well, we're right about now. We would want to call in and tell the controller at Fort Yukon that we are coming in for our approach. I'm going to switch over to heading mode here. Use the heading bug, bring us over. To where we need to be. We'll continue our descent down to 3,500 feet. And our radio altimeter has not beeped for us yet to let us know that we're getting down to any significant altitude loss. Definitely wintertime up here in Alaska. We don't get a whole lot of summer. You appreciate what you get, though, right? And now it's capturing the altitude, and the speed will start to drop. So we'll go ahead and feed some throttle back in here, give it some torque on the engines, and let's take it back just a bit more. That's a little too much torque. Let's come down to about there and see if we can bleed off some speed slowly. I don't want to bleed it off all at once, that's for sure. And let's put 40 at 90 degrees there for us. Not quite, but close enough so that we're getting a more accurate capture here. I don't think this is ever going to show us the GPS, so we'll... Sorry, made the mistake of clicking on the GPS and accidentally clicked the brake handle again. Now we'll click nav and it'll turn us hard towards the runway. And we're down to 150 knots, 3,500 feet. Let's go ahead and turn on the landing lights. You see them there coming on. And so we'll bring back our speed just a touch. Looks like we overshot the runway just a tad, just a little bit. Hopefully we'll catch back up to it here. Coming up on the Yukon River, this is not the time of year to be out in your canoe or in your flat bottom boat fishing for anything or hunting for anything, because that water is cold, cold, cold all year round. But boy, in the wintertime, it's really bad. And boy, people get stuck out there. Oh, look at that, the needle's catching something, isn't it? So we'll see what it's 43, it says. 1, 2, 3. Okay. That's roughly where we're gonna go. Let's see if it's getting closer. There's the runway right off our nose. You can see it out there. And let's go ahead and throw our RPMs in. That wasn't very smooth, Dad. You should have taken it a little easier. But as you see, as we throw those RPMs in there, the throttle tends to need some oomph to it, just because. All right, so we're going to shut off the autopilot now. And we're going to come in for our landing. All righty. And hopefully we don't embarrass ourselves. Well, you're not going to be embarrassed. I'm going to be embarrassed. You're not doing anything wrong. So our landing gear extension speed is 161 knots, but our landing gear operation speed is 147, and we're below that. So we're going to go ahead and put the gear down, and that'll add some drag. The sound just goes too quickly. The gear's not even completely down, and the sounds are done. So maybe that's right. I don't know. It just seems really short. We'll put in 15 degrees of flaps. No sound for flaps. You just got to kind of keep an eye on it. Again, that's a little weird. And we've let the runway drift too far to our left. Now that our gear is down, we can put on the taxi light too, so we've done that. We've already turned on the seatbelt sign, so there's no need to do anything further with the back of the plane. Got our full forward on our condition lever, and we're ready to go. As we come in, this is sort of a gravel cinder runway up here at Fort Yukon, so this is a little dark at a distance, but when you get up to it, it's like a white gravel. It's not quite that dark in real life, but you know, you take the limitations that the sim gives you. And there's 120 knots. When we drop below 120, I'll extend the flaps another notch, so that'll give us 25 degrees of flaps, and that'll be coming up here real soon. I can trim up just a bit, bring the throttles back, slow us down, just there it is, and there's our next notch of flaps, 25 degrees of flap. And you see that over here, we've got our second notch in. When we get down to 110 knots, just below 110, we'll throw in the approach flaps, which will be our 45 degrees. Now that's like throwing out a barn door and gives us a little more drag. So we're going to bring the throttle up. As you can see, our approach lights are telling us we're good.
500.
Whoa, that was loud. And the runway's a little further to the right. Let's get right. We'll go ahead and put in our 45 degrees because that drag is going to pull us either way. And we're going to put in some throttle now because those flaps are really dragging us. And we can probably get down to about 70 or 80 knots for landing. It's like a Cessna 172, right? Just over the treetops, and there's our terminal, if you will, for Fort Yukon. And we'll kill the throttles here just as we pass over the threshold. And there's that noise I was telling you about. Let's see, there's our max reverse. I mean, that's you can't argue with with how short that is. And we'll kill our. Oh gosh, I didn't kill the props fast enough. Oh man, take the strobes off. Good thing we have a high high wing here, because we just ate a bunch of grass. That was bad, Dad. Bad. And all I do now is I just fiddle back and forth. I'll show you with the condition lever, and I do this a bit with other planes too, and here's why. If you buy a turboprop like a King Air, so to speak, or you know, something with 4 PT6s in it instead of 2, like a -7, you're better off changing to a feathered prop. See, there we go, all 4 props up to normal ground idle, just to give us a boost, and then I'll bring them back to feather. Then pay for brakes. Brakes are extremely expensive, and they wear out really quickly on planes like this. I don't know why brakes are so expensive, but they are. So that's why I do that. I just fiddle with, you know, either putting it in beta. Well, this doesn't have beta, you just have reverse. Or, you know, the best solution I've come up with is just go ahead and use the props as best I can to make sure we're okay. Let's get a little more, give it a little gas. There we go. Okay, park and brake on. Park and brake is on. All right, turn off the taxi lights. The strobes are already off. Let's go ahead and kill the engines. So we'll just move our levers down, kill our engines, and they will die. Then we can go back and we can let the passengers off the plane. Do we have external power available? Looks like we do. Okay. You don't even have to ask for it, it's just there. Turn off the pitot heat. Alrighty, what else did we turn on when we came in here? External power's on. Turn off those generators and the AC side. And we'll turn off... what else did we turn on? I'm trying to remember. Oh, our bleed air. We don't need the bleed air on. And fasten seatbelt sign can come off. No smoking can come off. We're going to turn off those lights. And then we're going to turn off the generators and the batteries. And let's leave it on external power for now. And we'll turn off the nav lights. So all we're going to have on is the stuff in here. And get rid of the jump seat here. We'll just open the door and make our way to the back. And let's see, can we do this? Can we do this? I don't know. There, I had the wrong button, that's why. All right, so we'll make our way back and let the passengers off the plane, all 50 of them. We're going to pretend that there's passengers here. Not a lot of planes in Flight Sim let you actually have passengers back in the cabin like this, so I'm not complaining. I would like to have seen a door here to get into the cargo area, and I would have liked to have seen the cargo area simulated, but it is what it is. All right, folks, that's it. We are here at Fort Yukon, and we're done with our flight. So let's go up front and turn some things. We should have put taxi on. Whoops. We didn't put those up, did we? So we've got one working door, but two are built into the fuselage. That's fine. The gear on the front. Here, let's take a look at this again. We'll come out here and I'll show you what I'm talking about on this. That's a little weird. It's like no effort made to texture the tires at all. No Goodyear, no nothing. I mean, nothing. Strip bald tires. Okay. At least back here we've got, some what appears to be tread. No brand name or anything like that. There's some, yes, those all look good. Let's add some weight to the plane and see if that changes the compression. Oh, how can we do this? The compression on the gears here, the gear struts here. Look at that. Look at that. And it actually folds up a bit. I'm sorry I didn't get a external view of the landing so that you could see the compression of the gear as we did that. I'm going to take some of the fuel out and you can see it extend even further. So now we have 0 fuel, 0 weight. We're fully out, and then we go full fuel or full cargo, full fuel, and you can see the compression there, and everything sort of works well there. That's a good job. I can't complain about that animation. That's fine. You know what? It's not perfect. It isn't, but I like it. And there's our little strike. I mean, that's nice that they added that in there to keep you from getting a tail strike. It's not perfect. I don't expect it to be perfect. It's pretty good though. Welcome to Fort Yukon, Alaska. We are just, I think it says, inside the Arctic Circle, and the summer population is 800 plus, and then there in the wintertime, it's like 700 plus or minus. So we lose about 100 people when winter comes. It's not a warm place to be. Love the plane. Glad I have it in my inventory. Gonna keep it in the hangar. It will be flying a lot of routes for me. I really, really like what they did here. I think this is a true passenger plane for bush operations, for back rough fields where the ATR can be used for that, and the ATR is newer, But in terms of old school, just hopping in and out of an airfield, I think this is a good plane. Um, so that's my first look and review at this plane. I hope that gives you some idea of what we're dealing with. It handles really well without the autopilot. I mean, the flight model is really comfortable. Um, I hope that they would make it available for Xbox users as well. I don't know, but even if you're not an Xbox user and you're just a PC user, it's really nice to fiddle with. It handles beautifully. Um, it, as you saw in my landing there, you're essentially coming in at speeds that you'd be comfortable with if you're used to a Cessna 172, 182. You've got remarkable short field for landing and takeoff. They've done a good job of giving us that. Um, and it's 20 euros. It's not $70, so don't expect PMDG. I would have liked to have seen texture job a little better, and the sounds definitely need some work. But for 20 euros, I mean, that's a good product. I'm sorry. I know some people are going to take exception to that. I really enjoy it. Anyway, guys, if you liked the video, please subscribe, follow us. We'll be putting new content up from time to time. I'm sorry, I'm a real person. This isn't what I do for a living. I don't get paid. I don't get from YouTube, and you can tell I don't have enough subscribers for anybody to pay for anything, and nobody donates anything to me. I create my own scenery, my own liveries. This is my airport that I created up here. It's it's just a hobby that I love. So if you want to hear from somebody who's been flying flight sim since version 1 and doesn't get freebies and giveaways, I'll continue to provide content for you. So like the video, subscribe, and follow us, and we'll try to catch you on the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.